Yo, ndiyavuya manje ndiphumile ba.
P contact.
All right. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening, and welcome to yet our episode of Late Night Chats right here at the Success Factory podcast. So today we are somewhat continuing from what we were talking about the last time. And so before we continue, please do make sure that you invite your friends, family members who might find this useful. We're talking all things success, success in the family, success, what that leads to and everything, around that, right? And we've got the bazooka right next to me. Also known as Newa Cheka. Yeah, also known as, right? Yeah, you got the first one. Yeah.
So
also, also known as Newa Cheka. He's can you introduce le wesithi ngayo brand namhlanje?
Okanye usupportile. Support.
We also have la bhuti wako no 20
from 4B
bambiza ukuthi ngu Mr. Two Things. Mina nimbiza ukuthi ngumadlisa. Yebo. So yeah, welcome guys. Thank you very much for joining us. Please do give a shout out. Say something in the comment section. We want to make this interactive. Let me give a shout out to the guys who are tuning in. Mandilake, looking forward to singing Cape Town, bro. Sia and Luzuko, Sonwabo, all the way from the Karua, and we've got Urahati, our very own Asivim Sito. Welcome guys to
Stock Suite,
our session. Yeah, so what are we talking about today, guys?
So today, picking up from last week's conversation, we're going to be talking about the importance of having, vibrant and present family structures, which ends up encouraging, a societal success factor. Because at the end of the day, we're just juxtaposing that to the reality that today people are looking at government, and sort of running to government as their means to success. And we are basically critiquing that particular ideology last week and how that actually goes and gives government the power to dictate and therefore break down families, which sort of creates the cycle of dependence on government and all of that. And then we find now people highly educated going back, and looking at government doing nothing for us instead of doing something for yourself. And now you tell someone who has been raised up in a family told to believe in government, listen to government, do what government, they're gonna take care of you. Now that you're old, now on the other hand, you have entrepreneurs saying, well, you need to do it for your own. And to them it doesn't make sense, whatsoever. So that's what we're dealing about yesterday. We're also talking about 2 days ago, we're talking about how then government uses policy and not just government alone, but also a lot of these social media trends to break down the family structure that then ends up breeding more angry people.
Yeah, I'm interested to know because I'm interested to know how does that actually happen. So like maybe we're not aware, right? Because a lot of times we have sponsored ideas on many things, right?
Yes.
Without really interrogating what they mean. I'm gonna make an example. It's out of the topic, but I'm gonna make an example. I was busy signing an offer, a transfer document with an attorney, and this guy, he knows that I was in real estate, but now I'm doing Bitcoin and stuff like that. So this guy said, "So you are still into that thing Bitcoin?" And I said, "Yeah." And with people like that, I don't normally start the conversation about Bitcoin.
Okay.
But because I know
they have a predisposition.
exactly.
Yeah.
So, but it's when they start the conversation that I will go in. So this guy says, you know what, I just don't like Bitcoin. I'm like, why? He says, I don't like the fact that it's what did he say? He says it's
what's the
speculative investment, right? He says it's a speculative investment, and it's one of those things where he had so many people saying that over and over without really thinking about it. So he took it, right, and he's telling other people that it's a speculative investment. So I asked him, okay, fine. So which other investment is not speculative? Tell me one investment that's not speculative. He started thinking. He said, wow, okay, I guess we have a point, right? I guess we have a point because every investment is a speculative investment.
Yes.
So it's the same thing when it comes to society, right? In all aspects or in many aspects, we have sponsored ideas, right? So now what I want to find out is how do these manifest themselves, right? I'll give an example right now. See, when I was studying communication in my first year, my lecturer was very good, right? When we studied communication, this guy spoke about stereotyping.
Sure.
He says stereotyping is one of the lowest level of intelligence.
Of course.
And you find that people do stereotype quite a lot. So there is a, not to sound insensitive, but there is something that happened in East London which was terrible, right?
The guy who the guy who chopped up his girlfriend.
Terrible,
And
despicable.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just no words for that, right? But here is my problem with the reactions.
The narrative.
Okay.
now.
The narrative now
Yes.
is that men are evil, men are bad, men are trash, fear men, stay away from men, and right?
And immediately it creates a division.
A division.
Because the stereotype always does that.
Exactly.
It creates a division.
So the question is, do you think if that guy, spoke to just 5 men,
Yes.
and said, guys, this is what I'm gonna do. This is what you did, and therefore I'm gonna do A, B, C, D, and E. Do you think those guys would have said, yeah, go ahead?
Ish.
I doubt anyone would actually say that, right? So it's like what you were saying, the fact that, people don't sit around and say, this is what I'm going to do, and everybody cheers them on, right? Somebody, for some reason, is sick in their head, he goes and does something like that. And guess what happens? Men are like this and men are like that. And the funny thing is that the very same person who will actually go and say that on social media, he's got a father, he's got a boyfriend.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Probably even has a child who is a male child, right? And they don't see them in that light.
Exactly.
I mean, she doesn't see them in that light,
Yeah.
right? But then every other man, they will see in that particular light. So I think it's one of the things that maybe we need to discuss. You know.
I think when I looked at even that the thread, so I think one of the discussions was on Opera Fox was that a lot of the guys were in support of it. Not a lot, a few. It's like a few guys who spoke a lot was in support of what the guy did. Like, you were cheating because apparently the girl cheated, and so some guys actually went there and said, she deserved it, like in a way. Now we're not running away from the fact that there are in society you have normal people, then you get extremes.
I think if we were to address it like this now, there were people.
Not
men, there were people.
Yes.
That supported that.
Yes.
Because they're not the representative of the male species. There were people. Because if we address this thing saying that there were people, because now, for me, I'm hurt because of that. And I'm totally against that. And here comes being vulnerable as I am because of that. Someone else said that I'm supposed to be attacked because I happen to be a male species.
Yeah. It's what we said. The beautiful young lady from Cape Town who got married. Forgot the name now.
Yes, I remember that.
Yeah.
She had a boyfriend. She had a father. She had a brother. And I was saying that okay, guys, I understand the pain, right? But number one, we should not feel as if like your pain, like it's. I understand maybe the woman can say it could be me, so I'm afraid now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the reality of it is that that person has a father. So in other words, we are saying as a society that because that man, that guy, is a father, he's a man, he's disqualified from feeling the pain of losing his child. You know, you are disqualified from the pain.
How evil can that be?
Now that is evil.
Yeah.
Now that is absolutely evil. You know, and I think and I think this is what happens sometimes. We want to be sensitive at the cost of truth. You know what I mean? Because the truth is that those guys are not they're not the representation of men. They are bad men. Bad being used, it's an adjective to describe the man in itself is not bad, but you get bad men. You know what I mean? You get tyrannical men.
I think now it's more of when you feel you are being attacked, you are a victim. The first thing that you want to do, you want to blame, you want to attack. And now that this guy is out there, I can't attack that guy, he's already been arrested. Now they're looking for something to channel that pain. And now the victims that happen to be in front of them in channeling that pain, it happens to be men. Because someone must be attacked. I think that's why now most of the women, they felt like, okay, it's one of us. But the same with us, it's one of us, it's my sister. And immediately when that thing happened, I wonder, is my sister safe? Can't I be given an opportunity to protect my sister?
There was a time when what you're saying, there was a time even in Lukshin, if you guys can remember, you know, that when there was a mob, not the mob one, the community, what did you call it? The guys from the community that used to go out and attend the perpetrators as Molachlo. It would be men saying that like we're not gonna, you know. And I feel like sometimes even law has stepped in the front of, you know what I mean? You get men who want to do something about crime, who want to do something about these prevalent issues that we are now seeing, but the law comes in and says, well, first, because I think if the community had discovered this guy before the law did, that guy was not going to be alive today.
Yeah.
That's just to show that as human beings, we have an underlying good in us.
Yeah.
We don't want to see things like that happen.
Yes.
You know, and that just goes back to to say that, you know, like success will come once we understand what the common values of humanities are.
Yeah.
What instead of trying to divide, you know,
let's embrace what actually puts us together.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because the cause of failure is all about divide and conquer.
Sure.
Because when you have divide people, like for instance, you'll find that in South Africa, most of the time we complain, we moan, we blame. Because the signs of drifting, you complain, you want to blame, and you want to hide. And in trying to hide, you make someone else to attack. Because if we were to find what is it that we are strong at as a community of South Africa, because if we can have strong individuals, I remember T. Jakes was in South Africa and said that, guys, you need to be careful in addressing the issue of gender equality. If you go in states, there was a time where they were in our position. They tried to address this gender equality, but in addressing the gender equality, it was in the expense of a man, attacking men this, and elevating another gender, which is women. And if you go to America today, most of the kids, they don't have fathers, because the stronger people that are working is women. Because men were attacked, as a result, they pulled back. When they pulled back, most of the men are staying home fathers, or they just make babies and disappear. And in trying to be strong, said that let's embrace the manhood, let's embrace the womanhood, and run the race together. We don't need to attack another gender. We need to work together, because when we work together, we'll be a strong family and a strong nation.
So it's like see murder, rape, theft, and all those things, right? Those are crimes.
Yes.
Right? Now, recently there was a lot of talk about farm murders, right? and people were going as far as the United States and America and so forth, saying that, there's a genocide, farm matters, farm matters, farm matters. Now, instead of that garnering, support from the black community, let's call it like that, right?
Yes.
It actually did the opposite, because it's saying every other matter that is happening in the townships and so forth does not matter. You understand? The matter that needs recognition is the matter of actually people in the farms, right? And I remember I used to be enraged at these discussions on social media, and I would go in there and I would comment, because my brother, he was married at the age of 23. You understand? In the township, right? And I know, growing up in the township, almost every other weekend, that somebody's gonna die in this or that other tavern, or maybe they were going home and then they got robbed. You understand? Murder is something that is so prevalent in the townships, right? So now it's like I'm taking my pain. I'm saying every other pain doesn't matter. My pain is the pain. You understand? So that's what and you never solve problem by actually looking at them that way.
Of course.
But how you can actually solve that is by it's to say, in South Africa, we've got a murder problem.
Yes.
You understand? In fact, we've got a crime problem.
That's it.
We've got a crime problem. You understand? And this crime, the most prevalent being murder.
Yep.
You understand? Or being theft, or being armed robbery, or being whatever. You understand? But the problem is crime.
Yes.
It's not the skin color of the person being murdered. Do you understand? So
like what you're sharing now it sort of coincides. So I was speaking to a coach today. In fact, he gave me a call and he said, "Hey, Neil, listen up." So he described what actually happened. He said it was 3 a.m. in the morning. He felt, he heard people breaking into the car. He looked through the window. The gun pointed him.
Sure.
So like, don't come out. And he says what he feared the most at that moment in time. He felt so helpless because his kid and his wife was there. So he saw them break into the car, take out the radio and take out the battery, and they left. And he felt so helpless, right? And in that moment in time, you know what I mean? Like he's now a victim of that, and he's wondering, you know what I mean, of these kind of things that actually. So once we come together as humanity, understand that, look. And I think about it this way. Like I was thinking about this today. I was saying, like, yes, in the world there's a lot of bad happening. But can we really say that there's so much bad that is really overtaking the good? Like, let's put it this way. Like, what's stopping? We're going to go right now. Like, we can go to the mall tomorrow. There's no inherent desire to destroy the next person.
Yes.
You're going to go to, you don't have to worry if someone's going to shoot you. Like, that worry is not there, because you have to believe that there's inherent decency in people.
Yeah.
That ABCD is not going to happen. Like you know what I mean? Like, there are cases of those, and if you look at it in the broader spectrum, they are a minority case to what the norm is.
Yeah,
You're not normally getting killed.
You know what I'm thinking now? Generally, people are good.
Generally,
there is no child that is a bad child. It's an environment
that's socialized.
It has to be taught.
Yes. Because just if you go out there, everyone wants to do good. Everyone wants to do good. The socio-economic condition changes people.
Asive says this topic is good. Like, we should keep it up. Thanks, Asive. I hope you guys are really finding so much value in this. And not to pivot, a lot. But what do you think? What are one of the things that we can do? Because obviously now we can say that, number one, separation has been the key to destroy us. And like, you can't, if you look at, I think you said this, like, you cannot solve something if you don't know how to correctly diagnose it.
Yes.
And the best way to diagnose is separation. I did in my electrical engineering course, is that we had to design systems that were able to provide protection by first isolation.
Yeah.
So you cannot protect without isolating. So for argument's sake, if there's a problem here where we are right now, it should not affect somewhere 2 kilometers down the line.
Yeah.
So the protection measure should be able to isolate the problem, that it should stay here. And so we can treat it there. And so even with cancer, right? You want to treat cancer and isolate it treat it directly before it spreads to other parts of the body. Don't apply everything. Anyway, I think that is why, you know, the chemotherapy is so dangerous, because it doesn't target the cells that needs to be treated. Right?
Yes. Yeah.
And therefore makes chemo such a horrible process.
Yeah.
That's the same thing in our society. Without us being able to isolate the problems effectively, right? We'll apply sort of a chemo effect and destroy everything.
Okay.
But that's the thing.
In trying to help, end up being destroyed.
Yes, in trying to help.
You know, now you're coming. I like your direction, because we need to identify what caused the problem and deal with the problem. Because the first thing, in attacking of men, there will end up be a shortage or the lack of fathers. Because most of the kids in township, we grew up without fathers. Even those fathers that are present, but they are there, but they are not there. As a result, some of the fathers of the people that are supposed to be the father figures, they are not the father figures. Bezawuthiwa ke ezintweni never ukhona but ufe umnqwazi. Yes. Because if you go to the township, you've got a challenge of abotata bafike umnqwazi.
Yeah.
So here's the thing, when I'm Zine, I wanted to talk about, you know, how do these things manifest themselves. Let me give an example, right? You know, there is a general issue of joblessness and like so many socio-economic problems, right? But, you know, one of the ways we are trying to address that is by women empowerment. Do you understand? Which says, you know, give preference to the woman, to the lady, girl child over the boy child. You understand? Now that you try to solve a problem, right? And that's good. You're trying to solve a problem, but now the way you're solving that problem, you are creating unintended. We're saying unintended because we want to assume that whoever came up with this and is sponsoring these ideas, we want to assume that it's coming from the right place, right?
Yes.
There's not enough women.
You understand? So we want to assume that. Whether that's the case or not, that's another story for another day. So things like that. How about we have, you know, human empowerment, right? Like people empowerment, right? Because let's face it, who's empowering men, right? So who, you know, so the women that you're empowering, right? You're empowering women, all good and well. You are empowering them for who? Do you understand? Do you have men that will be able to deal with these empowered women? Do you understand?
Well, I think the argument is that you're empowering for them so that they could be
self-reliant,
and sebenza girl kind of.
Yeah. That has its own merits.
Then what that would then do again? You're not promoting family.
Exactly.
So that's why they say like everything is sort of geared towards to the division of family.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
It's not even to say that an independent woman, you know, a strong independent woman.
You know what Gaddafi used to do in Libya? You see, myself, I love these Muslim countries because they still very much, you know, grounded in terms of the core principles of, you know, humanity. What Gaddafi would do is that when a newlywed couple, Gaddafi would actually give them an apartment, right? They would give them, money to secure an apartment, right?
Yeah.
So that they can start their life. So what that was doing it was actually promoting family life. You understand? It was promoting family life, right? And we know what happened to Gaddafi, but that's another story for another day. So now. So I'm interested, man, in understanding, you know, apart from that, you know, because I think some of these things happen and people are not really aware, and we look at the consequences and we don't know where it actually came from.
Sure.
Yes.
You understand?
Yeah. So a number of folks in sort of not adding, but sort of further describing the problem that we have is that. And this is not just with women, right? I think it's with it's what we see as those who are disadvantaged. It happens with us black people.
Yes.
Let's disempower white people so that black people can become more empowered. So it's like this power share. Like there's an assumption of
BEE.
There's power share. You know, let's take those who have power, those who are rich. Let's take from the rich. Let's give to the poor. Like that. So we have to look at it from that perspective of there's this notion right now of power share and all of that, and trying to equate everything and all of that, right? But that must come. Then we must say that the assumption of society that everyone who comes into place came into power, especially if you're dealing with the case of gender. Every man that was not there based on competence. They were there based on them being a man.
Okay.
So therefore, for us, that's the assumption. That needs to be the assumption. For us to say that let's disempower these incompetent men. And not to say that men are more competent than women. It's just that there are things that women are more competent in men than in men. So like for argument's sake in engineering, the best engineers are men. Not because men are smarter than women. It's just that engineering, it's about things. It's about things. You don't women are about people. They have a caring nature in their design to care because of their maternal DNA that allows them to care for a baby. You know, they are more communal. Men, it's about things. You can sit in front of a computer. Your wife won't be able to do that. Like, they want to spend time with kids. What they desire to do, not something that they've been obligated to do. You know what I mean? Like, because now the whole thing is that it's as if there's someone who said, "You woman, you are supposed to." It's like it's an inherent design, right? But it's not. It's even, look at it even in the animal kingdom. It's within the woman's nature to take care of everything and everyone, right? So in this particular instance right now, you know, we are seeing these things actually happen, and it's making everyone unhappy. In fact, it's even making women. There's something that we're not hearing. That women are unhappy with the weak men that that is there.
Yes.
You go to the township.
Well, they don't want the weaker men.
Look, in the township, this is what you're gonna find. You're either gonna find a very a very small number of successful men. Very, very small, if they're still present in the township.
Yes.
If inside the household, all you're going to find a non-existent man. They are not there. They're either in prison or dead. If they are there, they are drunk all the time because they cannot deal with the pressures. You know, they cannot live with themselves being a man who's not able to provide for their family.
Yes.
Who cannot man up.
So they must constantly infiltrate their thoughts. So that's the problem.
Because already as a man, there are expectations. And when you can't meet those expectations, what do? You end up trying to come up with the ways of being distraction. Because I think somehow, because as a boy child, there's so much that is expected out of you. And if like for instance, the same people that have made men to be competent, because we've got mothers, all the men that are successful today, they give thanks to their mothers.
Of course.
It's our mother who created who we are.
That's true.
We are the people we are today is because of our mothers.
Yep.
Therefore, if there's anyone to be blamed for our competence, blame our mothers.
That's true. And that's true. Like strong women.
So for competence and incompetence.
And incompetence,
Look
yes.
at our moms.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like honestly,
That's interesting.
find a strong woman and you look at their children. I've seen this. You find a woman, high, strong moral values look at their children, especially their men. The kind of men they produce. Strict women. Teaching you, you know, and you will actually look at the kind of men that they produce. Women are extremely powerful.
Yeah.
Extremely.
Because they've created who we are.
Like, women are extremely powerful. And I think the fact that there's this voice of making women feel like they're not powerful, like, it sort of disempowers them, you know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, they're looking for something out there, yet they've got it already.
Yes.
Like what happened to Eve. They said, you know, if you eat from this tree, you're going to look like God. But yet God said in the code that you were created in His image.
Yeah.
So she was looking for something that she was already,
Yeah.
that she didn't have. You know what I mean? Like, it is what it is.
Sure. So women are made to chase shadows.
Yep.
Sure.
Yet they are the substance.
They are the substance.
They are.
Women are the substance. They are the life.
Wow.
Remember, if every successful nation is bred on a successful community, who is bred on a successful community? Every community is predicated on a strong family. Who holds the family together? Men can lead it, but who's going to hold it together? You know what I mean? Like, you know? Like, who's the glue that holds everything together?
It's like, you know, weak men, you know, can run away from homes and go and do whatever, you know, and women stand and hold everything together.
Women can keep the family with a salary of 500 rand a month and raise a competent child.
Look, I look at, I mean, we probably a case in point, you know, all of us here. You know, I look at my mom, you know, no education, nothing in terms of higher education. And, but when I look at what she's been able to do, raise 4 kids, you know, and not only that, but, you know, try and do stuff at home and stuff like that. Like, this woman has got superpowers. How did she do it? Earning 400 rand, you know, sometimes a week and stuff like that, you know. So women are really powerful. Women are really, really powerful.
So in solving the problem, folks, so that we've obviously fleshed out what the problem is and what it's sort of looking like, and I think you're asking a question of how is it manifesting, right?
Yeah. So yeah, I was asking about this thing of, so you know, this thing of, let's call it like women empowerment, right? Mm-hmm. And many other things, right? Uyimbokodo and as long as I ways, you know, like I'm trying to think, you know, could it not be that these things that are meant to, that are assuming that women are weak and therefore need to be empowered, and those who actually hear this rhetoric and also, you know, write on that rhetoric as well, that yeah, we are, you understand, therefore we need to be, you understand. Now in essence they lose who they are, you understand, which is their real power, you understand, in chasing for something that they think is the real power and neglecting their real power.
Yeah.
So what I'm asking is, you know, what could be these things, besides this woman empowerment story, you know, that's really causing, one, a division, and number two, you know, for women to chase shadows?
I think generally we can always look at that, like there needs to be a story, and this is why we have to look at governance, right? There needs to be a story that precedes a general movement. So for women, there needs to be a story of you are disempowered, you are weak, we are fighting for you. So number one, you need to believe that you are weak.
Yeah.
You need to believe that you are disempowered. Same thing with the poor. So there's a narrative, right?
Ooh, this is powerful.
Yeah, there's a narrative. There's a story that you need to believe first. And the reason why you're like this is because of A, B, C, D, and E. It's nothing to do with you. Therefore, you moving from where you are to where you want to be. Like, you know what I mean? So now you're chasing.
Wow.
So now we're chasing
what
political correction instead of personal economic freedom.
Wow.
So right now,
number one enemy being poverty.
It's poverty.
All of us,
but
whether you're a man or you're a woman, our number one enemy.
Whether you're black or you're white.
Whether you're black or white, our number one enemy is poverty.
But what's the rhetoric in South Africa? Our number one is the white man.
Yeah.
Like that's our number one enemy. Above poverty.
Yeah.
We are facing poverty. You know. So we need to accept this. There's a certain story that we need to accept that precedes a global movement for us to, you know what I mean?
This is interesting because it's happened the world over in different forms and shapes. You know, if you go to America, they will tell you, it's the left versus the right.
Sure.
Yes.
You understand? Things are not happening because of the left, or things are not happening because of the right. You know, we are in a mess because of the left. You understand? And you can go to any part of the world. You know, there is this thing. You understand? In South Africa, black man you don't have because of the white man, right? And therefore you need government to help you, to have, or you understand, a government must find a way to take and give to you.
Yeah.
And if government does not take and give to you, you must go and take yourself. You understand?
Like that's the story.
And it's not saying that black men you have power within you to overcome whatever circumstance you are in right now. You can create the world that you desire. You don't like this world that you live in right now. You've got the power to create a different world. And that does not need government, does not need you taking from the white man. It needs you actually manifesting what's already on the inside of you. It needs you to create.
Yes.
That's the freedom that we're looking for.
The freedom to create.
So here's the thing. Here's the thing. In South Africa and probably in the world, people have got a fear of being individuals. And that's where your power actually lies. Okay? In being an individual. Because I grew up Xhosa, right? I'm Xhosa, right? And what's the one thing that every Xhosa man takes pride in?
Molo.
Besides that, right? You understand? And therefore every other done you understand? And you understand? So this thing, you know, of
always looking for the belonging.
You understand? Of this thing. And therefore Gamantanda sends a ngoshobo. We understand? Is in this clan we do it this way. You understand? You know, in this township we do it this way, right? In this town we do it this way, right? So people lose. We're talking about women losing their power because they are made to chase shadows and look for a power that's out there, yet they've got it, you know, internally. It's the same thing as, you know, with just people in general, like for example black people, right? You know, we you know, there is this thing of indimbane. You understand?
When you start when you start progressing outside the collective, when you start behaving outside the collective,
determining your own, you understand?
Because now you are no longer taking decisions based on the collective thoughts.
And it now takes a lot of courage to be different. Because there's too much pressure to conform, to be, you understand? And it might not even just, I mean, if you look at school, right? I don't want to get into that. You know, if you look at the education system, right? When they talk of, you know, tests are standardized, everything is standardized, you know, everything is rounded off to average. You understand? There must be an average, right? You must not be too high, you must not be too low, but you must be average. You understand? And that this is it's like every child is born a genius. But then society knocks the genius out of the child because you can't be too different. Blend in. It's like I take my kids, I go to the mall. Me as a parent, I don't want them to behave extra, you understand, and be themselves, you know. It's like, man, you understand? Things like that, you know, you understand? You trying to tone the child down. Instead of letting the child be. Of course, yes, as long as they don't injure themselves and others, you know, they don't cause a nuisance, whatever the case is. But, you know, there is an element that you are actually killing by saying, no, blend in, be average, because that's how we grew up. So it takes a lot of courage to be different.
You know, it's, you know, just, I think...
So let's look at it this way. When you were in varsity, your first year, on average, how many were you in class?
120.
About 120.
Yeah.
Now, out of that 120, you chose to leave engineering and you go to network marketing. You know, how many times were you tempted to think that what you are doing is wrong? Because everybody else is an engineer and you understand? So the path that you were doing, you know, it was a bit different from what everybody was doing.
Yeah, look, and in terms of advice as well. So you are seen as stupid as this and that, you know, and you end up questioning sometimes, especially in the face of difficulty.
Coming up with another point.
Yeah.
That's why most of the people they see that in network marketing there is money. But the problem is that who else is doing network marketing? I can't leave the collective, the norms of the society and go and do a network marketing. But all of us were after one thing and one thing only, we're after money.
You know, this is so powerful. Like, like just sort of going back a bit and gonna get to this point, Damzi, is that we don't realize as human beings. And I think, have you looked at society these days? We're trying to change the things that should not be changed. And we're, and then we go back and we try to keep the things that we're supposed to change. Right? And we don't understand that what you don't change are principles, but what you change is applications. Like, so for argument's sake, we'll talk about the fourth industrial revolution. The principle of movement has not changed. We need to move.
Yeah,
and
progression.
How to move does not change.
Yes.
The vehicles by how we've moved has changed throughout the fourth industrial revolution. People walked, now people use steam engine, then they use trains, now we use cars, now flights. So the means of movement has not, but the means to move have changed, but movement has not changed, right?
The principle remains the same.
The principles remain the same. And that's the problem with culture at times, that people don't understand that culture is formed upon principles. The principles don't change, the applications of the principles do. Right? So how you termed respect back in the day is not how we'll term respect today.
Yeah.
Sure.
But respect remains respect.
Yeah.
I'm in Joburg right now. I was, playing soccer with the boys, and a boy who's 16 loves me, calls me boy. Like when you play, hey boy. Say boy. Hey boy. But it's a way of talking.
Yeah.
You only do that when you really,
respect
you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And if I don't understand that, and I don't understand that this guy actually respects me.
Like Marseille was called like.
Yeah, okay. And it's like agreements. Back in the days, to have an agreement, a contract was a handshake.
Yeah.
If you shook hands on it, it was a contract. But today, the agreement, the principle of agreement still is there, but now it's in a different form.
Yes.
Right? And so we need to understand that whatever the principle stays, the reason why we move from one form of application to another is because the previous one was not working properly. And so therefore, if people are changing, you will never want to change something that is working.
Yep.
So the reason why change and being different is because you can see, and a lot of us have been cultured not to question the things that doesn't work. That's what I'm trying to get into now. Right? And so for argument's sake, you go to work for 40 years of your life, spend 40 hours a week, 40 years of your life, and hopefully retire with 40% of the money you've made. Not because it's working. It's the only thing that you know, and you only do. And anything outside it, because you don't know it, it's like you're breaking the principle. Because remember, the reason people earned was for income. And the income had to sustain you. Back in the day, working a 9-to-5 job actually worked.
Yes.
Like the principle was that you need to work for an income. There needs to be, not work for an income, there needs to be value adding in time for you to have money. Right? That was the principle. But now, if the money that you're earning is not enough to sustain you and your family, why remain? Okay, look for something alternative. You're still doing the same thing. We're doing the same things that caused our parents to become, or our great-grandparents to become successful in the time. We're just doing it a different way. They were industrialists. They were entrepreneurial in their way. Yeah. Them leaving their homes in the farmlands, in the homelands, to go to work in the mines back in the day. That was a form of entrepreneurship. You were there to offer something that other people needed at the time. But now there's too much people, so now we need specialization.
This is very, very important, because society only grows and evolves through that. Not through trying to keep things that don't work. You understand? Imagine if the Wright Brothers, when they were told what they were doing is evil, even by their own father. Do you understand? Who was a priest, right? He told them that what they're doing is evil. They're going to burn in hell. God did not make a mistake by not giving men, wings, right? Why do they want to make men to fly? But those guys did not really listen to that logic, right? And today we've got planes. Now we can travel all over the world. So society only grows when somebody somewhere actually decides to go out of the norm and actually chart a new course, right? So 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 20 years from now, right now, network marketing in South Africa is not really something that's celebrated, that's looked at and admired, right? say you want to be a doctor, people will clap hands for you, even though doctors are broke today. Say you want to be a lawyer, say you want to be an accountant, even though those things don't necessarily work today in terms of delivering the lifestyle that people actually want, right? So it's only going to be 20 years from now, 10 years from now, hopefully much sooner, where people realize that they have to be entrepreneurial, right? They have to be entrepreneurial. Right?
It's not an option.
And they are going to be rewarded in this world, monetarily at least, by the value they provide. You understand? So that's something that really has to come out strong, and for people to understand, No, the world doesn't owe you anything. You are going to be rewarded in this world by the value you provide. Simple and clear.
With that being said, because now also, especially as millennials, the rate of entitlement has grown, right?
Yeah.
Because of what you're saying right now, because of people's inability to provide more value in their time based on their education or whatever, is that now we demand more higher wages. Do you know, statistically in all countries, whenever they've raised the minimum income wage, the unemployment rises?
Yeah.
Because what you're saying right now, if you're increasing minimum wage, you're right. You're telling people that you're telling capital, you're telling the market that we need to start paying more to people that you already have, which you are discouraging growth. Okay,
yeah.
So
why should I strive for more?
Why should I get more people if I have to pay them more?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And even you're killing the employees, right?
You're killing the employees.
Now they don't have to strive, for a better position. They don't have to push themselves, better themselves, provide more value.
Yeah. And so basically the history of LLCs was that people who were able to give value to the company, what they did is they said, hey, Mankota, we can do this. We can do this. And they used the capital they were getting from their income, and they actually formed corporations and did the exact same thing and ended up in partnerships with them. And that's basically how the economy was
that's
growing.
How you bring real empowerment.
That's how you bring real empowerment. And so I think we need to be able to identify and correctly define the word empowerment. If I give you 10,000 or 10 million right now, am I empowering you or am I just giving you?
You're killing.
So that we have to understand, Let's put it this way. This is a quite interesting discussion. Who has done more good, right? Bill Gates or Mother Teresa?
No. You're starting another.
I wish you had said Jeff Bezos or Mother Teresa.
Okay. Okay. Let's not talk about Bill Gates.
Okay.
The philanthropist, the scientist, the doctor. Now let's talk about the Bill Gates, the Microsoft guy.
Yeah, the Microsoft guy, not the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation guy.
It has said, statistically, it says, that Bill Gates gives to the poor. He donated $100 billion into charity. He's very charitable. But statistically shows that Microsoft has created more employment and more economic activities than the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. And so basically we're looking at what charity does and what capital does. That the role of capital is so much more significant than charity.
Sure.
Because the role of capital is to empower. So if I go there and I actually teach you a skill and empower you and open you up to go up and be independent, I'm doing a whole lot more for you than actually me giving you money on a monthly basis.
Sure.
And so this universal income grant, it's there meant to disempower, not to empower.
Yeah.
It's not that you empower, it's to disempower. Because right now, you're not going to be able to produce anything of yourself. You know what I mean? Because some people think, we will be able to do it because we have more money. No. The presence of capital does not mean you're going to do more.
Yeah.
Right? Because by virtue of you having something that people need, you will attract capital to you. You know? And so, again, on that is why I asked this question: who did more good? So we're taught to celebrate more of the Mother Teresa, because they did a noble thing. Now look, we need to be noble. Yes, we need to give to charity, but we need to understand that when we create opportunities for people to take and grow, that's empowerment. There's a difference between empowerment and charity.
Yeah. And I think even myself, look, this is a discussion we always have with my wife regarding charity. In all honesty, I want to give to charity, but personally, I only want to give to charity that it helps, children, either who are abandoned or who are, orphaned, whatever, you understand? Because those people, they can't do anything for themselves.
Yes.
Anyone who's 18 years and above, nigga, get off your butt and go do something.
Yeah.
I never understood. And in Motherwell, staying in Motherwell, guys my age, able-bodied, indoor jingis in Chebe, we march for houses. I never understood that concept. Like, so nigga, you are disqualifying yourself. You're saying you've given up you can never ever be able to buy your own home and stuff like that, So belief is everything. Let me tell you a story. When my business was not doing well in real estate, I have 2 kids. My mother practically begged my wife to have my kids apply for children's grant. And I said, never. While I'm still alive, never. Because this is my definition.
Justice.
This is my definition. I said, I'm not going to take that curse. That's what I said. Because that's what I believed. I'm not saying everyone else who actually takes it, is taking a curse, but I'm saying to me, you understand? It was like, it was like, I believe that God has given me life, has given me ability, and me taking stuff like that, it's like I'm throwing it back in his face. Do you understand? So I was like, you know what? I'm going to struggle and until I win, but I'm not going to accept stuff like that. And then my mom was like, no, then it's fine. You give the money to me. I'm like, no.
Not in your name.
Not in my name. Do you understand? Not in my name, not my kids. Because I understand the psychological, the spiritual implications of stuff like that. And I said, no.
That is empowering.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's deep.
So, and I'm not saying that's just me, right? Again, I fought for the right to be an individual and to have my own mind, and that's my mind. Nobody can tell me I'm wrong to think that way. They can think whatever they want to think, but that's how I think.
And they might not be wrong in thinking that.
Exactly.
You're not making them wrong.
Yeah, I'm not making them wrong. They must not make me wrong.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
But it's true that it's like understanding that there are 2 different games that people are playing. You're playing soccer. Yeah. And again, you are following rules. You are actually, whatever you did right now, that was the rules that you needed to follow to attain the level of success you wanted.
Sure.
And you're not wrong for going there.
Sure.
And someone else might play by their rules for whatever they want to achieve. Maybe they just focus on bread.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And so I think sometimes we're living in this community of you being, I can be right and you can be right, but our rights don't agree.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is
interesting. I must. In fact, this is where this thing becomes powerful. I must actually fight and protect your right to have your own mind.
By you.
You understand? So I must actually fight. Nobody must make you wrong. You understand? That's how you think, right? Nobody must make you wrong, and I must actually protect your right to be the way you want to be. Right? Yeah. So
on this thing of being right and wrong, you don't have to be right, you don't have to be wrong.
Exactly.
But your belief system are not my belief system. Your truth is not my truth. What you know, I don't know. I know it differently. Because most of the people, they're obsessed in this thing of being right and wrong.
Yeah.
As a result, most of the people, what causes the division and the chaos in this world is right and wrong. And most of the people, they want to impose. No one will ever admit and say that, no, I'm wrong. Maybe you might be right. Or you might be wrong, but the information that you have, you happen to get a wrong information. But I'm not saying that you're right, but I choose not to believe. I have a right to. The right, because the person that I'm loyal to, it's me. I have to be loyal to myself. And to me, I choose not to believe what you are saying. I'm not saying that it's wrong or it's right. But according to me, that's not the way of doing things. The same thing that Lonobo is talking about, I remember there was an opportunity to go to listing what you call this thing of RDP house, and I said to myself, I didn't have a house at that time. I said, no, I'm not going there because I still believe I've got what it takes for me to succeed in this world. And most of the people, the culture, religion is their truth. You need to know that religion, culture, it's your truth. It's not my truth. Therefore, I have a right to be an individual. The only thing that we're fighting for as a human being, we're fighting for us to be liberated so that we can be able to behave the way we want to behave. As a result, most of the people, the only thing that they shape is the behavior because I want to conform, I want to be accepted by the community. But the character inside, I'm dying. Because I know exactly the person I'm supposed to be. But because of the voices, the danger most of the people they can do is to hotspot. Sponsored ideas. Because if we can be given that opportunity to liberate ourselves, most of the people will be successful.
Now the question is, and most people, because they'll be like, for there to be liberation, there must be this sort of messianic role, to say that, I know. And that is why I think that is this whole thing of group identity politics.
Group identity.
That, you need, first of all, you're not an individual. That's the worst thing. I think that's the worst, and slowly but surely, I'm not sure if you can see, slowly but surely, being an individual is, it's like, that's what they're doing right now. They're looking at a minority, whatever. Just look at whatever sort of minority. And they're saying this minority needs to be taken care of. They need to be individualized. They need to be treated as individuals. So let's go to the majority. Hey, it's like, look at this minority. Accept them. I said, I don't have a problem. We can coexist. No, when I mean accept them, I mean when they begin to define the meaning of what accepting them would be, it's actually compromising your individuality. Like you cannot be an individual. Not trying to be too clear what I'm trying to say, but anytime you're saying that, what is really being promoted here is that for you to be an individual, like someone, like you have to be part of, or you need to conform to certain group, a group norm, for argument's sake, and I think that is producing more division, destruction, human decapitation that has ever existed in humanity. And I think for me personally, when I look at my life, when I look at the life of many people who have gone out and defeated the odds, it's really to understand that there are odds to be overcome. And economic freedom is not something someone can fight for you.
Yeah.
I think that's one thing that I think,
can never be handed to you.
But folks, I cannot fight for economic emancipation. I can't. And this whole political agenda of I'm fighting for, no, if I fight it, if I'm fighting on your behalf, which means I must get it. I get it from you because you are the wrong person, and I'm going to give it over to you. But you need to trust that I'm going to give it to you.
Yeah.
But that puts you at my mercy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because if I'm going to hand it over to
you, once it's in your hand, you're like, I fought for this.
I fought for this.
That's what we experience in South Africa right now.
Yes.
No, we fought for this.
We fought for this.
We went to exile for this. And I said, wait.
Where's your political credentials? You want this? But you said you are fighting for me. No, I was fighting for the people. But I'm the people. Am I not the people? No, you're not the people.
It's a scam. It's a scam.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the problem. Don't ever give your economic fight for someone else to fight. Fight it for your own.
Yeah.
You can learn from someone. People will be able to mentor you. But when you have the victory of economic liberation, understand it's yours. And you have the right to do whatever you want to do it. If you want to empower other people, it should be your own. It's not an obligation. You don't have to do it.
It's your choice.
It's your choice. That's your individual choice. No one makes you wrong if you're not gonna want to do that. No, but it's a noble thing. It's a good thing to do.
So I think that was a very good point to really bring this session to a close. It was a bit longer than what we normally take. One interesting thing that we were talking about regarding coach, right? It made me go back to where I was. I've experienced something like that multiple times, right? Multiple times, and it's one of those things that made me want to be rich. Because I realized that the Bible is right. Money is a defense. Money is a protection, right? Because here I am in Blue Water Bay, this house that's not 100% finished, right? There's no burglar bars. It's one of those things you want to put electric fencing, but the cost is just way too much. Okay, I'm need to hustle for another few months, and I said, and now when stuff happens, right, and your family is at the mercy, you are at the crossroad, of bad thing that can happen to your family, right? So that's when I was like, no, man, I need to do something. I need to hustle way much harder. You understand? Because for me to be able to take my family to somewhere that is safe, it's gonna cost money. It's gonna take money, right? Who must provide the money? It's me, right? So I had to hustle and make sure that actually happens, right? So what I want us to talk about in the next episode is the importance of success, the importance of being a success as a man.
Okay.
You understand? My success, as a man, it doesn't just affect my immediate family. It extends. So I want to talk about the importance of success.
Okay.
You understand? How being successful shields and protects our children and our families and gives them just a better quality of life. You understand? A better quality of life. It's something that I was thinking today that, what? I'm thinking about the network marketing space and all of that. And I think I've once mentioned this to you. I might have. So I'm thinking, what? I never really desired to be. I'm probably in the top 5 in Africa right now. I never desired for that to happen. That was not my desire. I don't want to be number 1 and number 7. I don't care even if I'm number 100. What I do care about is me being able to live my dreams. You understand? So if me living my dreams, right, like right now, my focus is on my lifestyle. You understand? It's on me building a legacy, me doing this and that. You understand? But if it means for me to get there, then by default I have to be the first, or the top 5 in Africa, whatever the case is, right? Or in the world, so be it. But that's not my motivation. My motivation is to be successful and to make sure that I can be able to provide a certain kind of a lifestyle for my family, So to bring it to a close, next week I want us to talk about the importance of succeeding as a man, because I think this whole topic we were talking about today actually hinges on that. It's when men are failing that they become destructive, not only to themselves but to society, right? But it's when men are winning that they actually inspire other men to win. Look at people like Shona Ferguson. How many people were inspired by that guy?
Yes.
You understand? So it's when it's one of those things where if you look at the world today, we have a far more important role than we think. Let me explain. If you look at celebrities, right? There is this thing now of celebrity worship. Right? You look at celebrities, most of them, they live a lifestyle that we don't want our kids to emulate. Do you understand? That's why I never really want to use celebrities as a reference point for as a role model or the epitome of success. You understand? I don't want. You understand? I rather want to look at someone, and we were talking about this. I want to look at someone who has built something, who has done something. You understand? And who then become, because that success in that space, has other things around it. You understand? That can ultimately lead to failure. You understand? They might not fail financially, but there's other areas of their life that actually tend to fail, right? So people having people like, yes, he's in the entertainment industry, or was in the entertainment industry, Shona Ferguson, but he was in a whole new different level that could inspire the nation. Do you understand? So I think we need a lot more people who are entrepreneurs, living life to the fullest, and who are out there, right? Just not out there because they're showing off, but out there they're living their life. But let the world see, let the world be inspired, let the world be challenged, that people can be successful, irrespective of where they come from, irrespective of whatever industry that they're in. We need to celebrate more, people who are successful in all walks of life.
And not vilify them.
Right? And say, no, they're lucky, or no, they're this and they're that. You understand? The narrative has to be, all of us care.
Yes.
You care. We care. Right? So, with that being said, guys, thank you very much for joining us today for yet another episode of the Success Factory podcast. So catch us again on Monday. Catch us again Monday, and we're talking live. Let's give a shout out to all the guys that join us. Pelele, thank you very much, boss. Mondli, Zola, Ntruza, thank you, Mr. Gigi, Nomalanga, and Mr. Genu. Thank you very much, guys. We do see your comments, but sometimes, the conversation just carries. CD, we do see your comment. Thank you very much. Nolu, we see you. Mr. Luzuko, we see you. Mr. Mkhasi, we see you. Yeah, thank you very much, guys. And we shall see each other on the next episode of the Success Factory podcast. Ciao!